What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Rankin video, and this is a monthly Rankin video where I rank every movie that I watch for the first time of each month. And today, this is the first watches of September 2024 ranked from my least favorite to favorite. And we have a special guest. You can kind of see her, but this is Rhodey, one of my cats. You don't see her head, but you see. Well, okay, there we go. There she is. Hi, Rhodey. Yeah, I asked her if she wanted to be in this video, and she's like, "Sure." But anyways, hopefully she won't be too much of a distraction to me. I'll be petting her, but yeah. Okay, so I gotta say, this month was actually pretty good for movies. Like, even my least favorite, I liked it. Like, all these movies I think are good. So, yeah, this was a good month for the first watches. It's not very much. It's only 8, but still pretty good. Including my least favorite, like I said. So, all right. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with my number 8, my least favorite. So, okay, coming in at number 8, we have a movie that most likely you never heard of. There's this and another one we'll get to that you might never heard of. So I went into these movies pretty much blind, other than like knowing some of the cast. That's it. And this one is called Here Are the Young Men. Yes, which I gotta say, not a great title. And this poster's okay, but not really great either. But if you look closely on this poster, you can see, of course, my queen, Anya Taylor-Joy, one of my queens. But yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy, one of my favorite actresses and one of my celebrity crushes. I think I was just like looking at her filmography on Letterboxd, and I saw this one, and I was looking at my watch list. I saw this. I'm like, what is this? And then I clicked on it, and I noticed Anya Taylor-Joy was in it. I'm like, okay, that's why it's on the watch list, because she's in it. And I had to say, though, this is actually a pretty good movie. The only reason why it's my least favorite is because I hated a certain character in this movie. They weren't a bad character, but they were just a despicable person, a terrible piece of shit person that just made me not love the movie. But at the same time, it was still a good character. The actor who played him was very good, and yeah, everybody who's in this movie is pretty good. He's great. The lead guy is great. I don't know their names, but and of course Anya Taylor-Joy is phenomenal, as she always is. This takes place in Ireland, so she actually does an Irish accent in this movie, and I mean, she has a beautiful voice, and I love Irish accents. So hearing Anya Taylor-Joy, who has a beautiful voice, do an Irish accent, I was in love. And also, another reason that made me fall in love with her in this movie, she actually sings a Joy Division song, and that's She's Lost Control, and that was awesome. And I could tell it was actually her singing, because I did find out that she sung Downtown and Last Night in Soho. So, and it sounded like her. So I'm like, oh, yeah, she's actually singing this song. That's amazing. Ironically, though, I will say this movie is a little similar to Trainspotting. I feel like Trainspotting was a huge influence on this. Like, the villain reminded me a lot like Begbie, but Begbie I like because he was very entertaining. He's a terrible person too, but he's entertaining to watch. This one wasn't that entertaining. He was just a terrible person. So that's a little different. It takes place in Ireland instead of Scotland. There is some drug use in the movie, but not heroin. And also, back to Anya Taylor-Joy singing a Joy Division song. Kelly MacDonald in Trainspotting sung a New Order song. So, and if you know anything about Joy Division and New Order, it's some of the same people. So, like most of them, except for Ian Curtis and Gillian Anderson, whatever her name is, Gillian something, I don't know. But anyways, but there are some parallels to Trainspotting. It reminded me a lot like Trainspotting. And it's a very well done movie. Cinematography's great. All the acting was good. And also Ralph Ensign. Is that his name? From The Witch. Which, there we go. Anya Taylor-Joy. And yeah, Ralph Ensign is in this movie. So, a little witch reunion, even though they didn't have any scenes together, but still, that was pretty cool. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I did give it a 6 out of 10, though, only because that character was just terrible, in terms of a person, that is, and that just took me out of it, just because, he's the reason why I probably will never watch this again. But other than that, this is a good movie, and I do recommend it. If you hate characters that are just pieces of shit, you might not like it, but no, I thought it was decent. It does have a low rating on Letterboxd, though, unfortunately. It has like a 2.3 something, but I disagree. I think it's good. So, but, if you don't mind pieces of shit characters, then I highly recommend this movie. I like some pieces of shit characters. If they're entertaining, I like them. I still admire, the writing and acting, of course, of those characters if I hate them, but yeah. But anyways, still a good movie. Here Are the Young Men. I don't really like that title, but I don't know if I said that. Did I? I can't remember. This is my second attempt on doing this video, so I can't remember if I said that or not. But anyways, yeah, Here Are the Young Men. That's my number 8, my least favorite movie, but that I watched this month, but still good. Alright, coming in at number... I'm going to show the poster for each of these movies, by the way, except for one that I have, but... Well, actually, no, I still might show it just because the poster is better than this cover, but... Anyways, my number 7 is a movie that came out in the last decade, and I think it was pretty well received. I think it was critically acclaimed, and it's by a director who I think is hit or miss, but he does have a fan base, I think, and I think this is my first movie with him. But that's number 7, Hunt for the Wilder People. I used to call it Wilder People, which I don't even know if that's a word, Wilder, but yeah, Wilder People, Hunt for the Wilder People, and it stars Sam Neill and Julian Dennison, who I knew Julian Dennison from Deadpool 2, and Sam Neill is a pretty well-known actor, Jurassic Park, of course, but yeah, and this is written by, probably written, but directed by, hopefully I'll say his name right, the director I was talking about, Taika Waititi, I guess is how you say it, who also directed movies like Jojo Rabbit and 2 Thor movies and What We Do in the Shadows, and Eagle versus Shark and Boy. This was my first introduction. I still haven't seen Jojo Rabbit. I've heard good things about that movie. But this was the first movie I ever seen with him as a director. I think I've seen him as an actor in some stuff, but as a director, this was my first introduction. And pretty good movie. I don't know. I actually remember Here Are the Young Men a little bit better than this one, but like my memory's a little bit fuzzy on this, but the stuff I do remember, I remember being really good. I thought Sam Neill and Julian Dennison, I thought they had great chemistry together, and they were both really good in the movie. I thought the villain was pretty good. She was kind of funny too, and yeah, this has some really interesting humor in it. Kind of almost unique humor. Like some of it's different, kind of, but it was funny though. It was a really funny movie, a really well shot movie. Yeah, the cinematography is gorgeous, well edited, and also pretty good soundtrack and score, and it has a really good Leonard Cohen song in it. So yeah, good stuff. I thought this movie was really good, and I can see myself rewatch it again, especially when I do my Taika Waititi ranking. But yeah, good movie. Hunt for the Wilder People. That's my number 7. Okay, now coming at number 6, we have the other movie I was talking about that you might never heard of. This I bought pretty much as a blind buy. This was a blind buy for me, or blind buy. I said it backwards. A blind buy for me. I got this in my What I Got video, and I got it for the cast because it has a great cast, but I never heard of the movie until I saw it at the store. And I figured I'd buy it. My number, let's see, that was number 6. My number 6 is Search and Destroy, the only movie I own in this. And I gotta be honest, I don't like this cover because a lot of these actors are like Ethan Hawke. Both Ethan Hawke and Rosanna Arquette, they're barely in the movie, so I don't think this is a good cover. This is better, this poster right here. Even though the lead isn't in this, but it's still a good poster. But this movie stars Griffin Dunne, who I knew from a really great Martin Scorsese film, After Hours. He's the lead in this movie, as well as an actress who I'm starting to really love. She's really good. Oh, she's in Goodfellas. That's right. Okay, and I knew her from Cape Fear, but that's Alina Douglas. Her. She was amazing in this movie. She was really funny, and I loved her character, and yeah, she was great. Also in the movie, Wire said Ethan Hawke and Rosanna Arquette, who I enjoyed. Ethan Hawke is my favorite actor right now, and Rosanna Arquette is a crush of mine. But they were just barely in the movie, so could have had more of them, but oh well. But also in the movie, you got Dennis Hopper and John Turturro and Christopher Walken. How can you say no to that? You know? Like, those 3 guys alone, and even Ethan Hawke, but I personally like Ethan Hawke, and Rosanna Arquette's a crush, and even Griffin Dunne, who I liked in After Hours. Like, those people alone made me say, yes, I gotta watch this movie. And I'm glad I did, because it's good. It's a really good movie. I feel like I might like it better on rewatch, because it was a little bit hard to follow at first. I gotta say, it was a little hard to follow. The story was, but I will say, like, the editing and the cinematography was very interesting. And at first, I wasn't on board with the editing, but then I think I came to an understanding where I think it's edited that way on purpose, because this looks like it could be a movie from the 70s, and like, even the cinematography is very 70s looking, and the story, I think, takes place in the 90s, like this movie, but I think it's kind of a homage to, like, some 70s, maybe like even Martin Scorsese's older films, like, and that's really cool. And there's like some interesting editing choices that Scorsese had in his earlier film, so I can see that. And speaking of Martin Scorsese, he is a producer on this movie. Yes, and he's even in one scene. He acts in one scene. And I have to be honest, Martin Scorsese is an underrated actor. He's actually really good as an actor. He doesn't act a lot, but when he does, he's great. Even in Shark Tale, which, say what you will about that movie, I personally do like Shark Tale a lot, but he's even great in that movie. So yeah, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. If you like Martin Scorsese, especially, if you like his films, and even his early stuff, I recommend this movie. Yeah, I just got to rewatch it. Also, a little shout out to John Turturro. He was my favorite in this movie. He was very entertaining, really funny, and his chemistry with Griffin Dunne and Christopher Walken, phenomenal. And they were probably the best parts, along with Elena as well. But Elena Douglas. But yeah, they were great, and all the others, like I said, were great. And John Turturro kind of reminded me a bit like Al Pacino in this movie. I don't know if that was what he was going for, but it did give me Al Pacino, energy. So his performance. So yeah, really good movie. I highly recommend it. If you can find it, that is. I don't know how it is on streaming, because I just happened to find this on DVD. But if you can find it on DVD or even streaming, this damn fly is bothering me. But if you can find it, watch it. It's great. So yeah, Search and Destroy. That's my number 6. Okay, coming at number 5, we have a movie that came out last year that I've been dying to watch ever since I first heard of it, because I am a big wrestling fan, and this is a wrestling movie. This is a biopic. Hold on, let me pull the poster up real quick. Okay, so my number 5 is The Iron Claw. Yeah, I heard nothing but good things about this movie, and a lot of people said that it was robbed of Oscar nominations and even wins. And after watching this movie, I agree, because although it's not my favorite of the year, and you know what, I even have another movie that came out last year on this ranking that I'll talk about later. But although it wasn't my favorite, it was very good. Oh, there goes Rhodey. Bye, Rhodey. But a very good movie. Zac Efron, it's incredible. It is actually shocking how great he is in this film. Zac Efron is amazing in this film. I liked him in Neighbors, but that's a comedy movie. You know, he was good in that, but this movie is not a comedy. There's a little bit of comedic moments, but it's mostly a drama. And he is the best part of this movie. He outshines it. He's amazing. Second best would probably go to, at least in my opinion, it might be me simping over her because I am attracted to her, but Lily James. Lily James was also phenomenal playing his wife. And yeah, they were both phenomenal. I should mention, this is a biopic about the Von Erichs brothers. If you don't know the Von Erichs, they were a wrestling team and brothers. They were professional wrestlers. Their dad was even a wrestler too, Fritz Von Erich. And Zac Efron plays Kevin, who I believe is still alive to this day. And actually, here's a little fact. My mom actually got to meet the real Kevin Von Erich. That's right, yeah, she did. She got to meet him in, I think even before I was born, but in the 90s. And he was actually in Oklahoma filming a movie, and she got to meet him. So that's pretty cool. Even though I never met him, that's pretty cool that my mom did. So yeah, but yeah, and Zac Efron was phenomenal. Jeremy Allen White plays Carrie. He was great, and the actors who play David and Mike were very good as well. And Holtz McCallany as Fritz, very good. I didn't like Fritz in this movie as a person, though. He just, well, he wasn't the worst person ever. He was still kind of controlling, and he just wanted his sons to succeed at wrestling because he didn't really get to. Which I get it, but at the same time, it's a lot of pressure. And so one thing I will say, while it's maybe spoilers for the movie, but I'll just go ahead and say it because it happened in real life, but it was a tragedy with the brothers. Most of them died. And it even says in this movie that there was a quote unquote curse of his family, that a lot of them died young, and his brothers died young. He even had an older brother who I can't remember if he was already born or not, but Kevin did have an older brother who died just as a kid. So yeah, yeah, it's pretty. It's not an easy watch. It's pretty sad. It's not the saddest movie I've ever seen, though. I've seen even more depressing movies, but it's the ending, I think, almost got me. The ending was, yeah, that's right. The final scene in the movie, that actually did get me. I did kind of cry a little bit. So that was the saddest thing in the movie. I mean, it was also kind of happy too, but it was also pretty sad. If you've seen the movie, you should know what I'm talking about. It was really good, and just a really good movie overall. Even if this wasn't a biopic, it would still be a good story. And yeah, it's a really good movie. Especially if you like wrestling, check this out. But I recommend it either way, even if you're not too into wrestling, but you like a good drama. Watch this movie. It's really good. One of the best movies of last year, without a doubt. Not my favorite, maybe in my top 10 of last year, but I don't know. Maybe on rewatch I might like it better, but good movie overall. And yeah, Iron Claw. That is my number 5. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick break, real quick. I'm gonna pause this, get a drink of water. Be right back. All right. So coming in at number 4, we got another movie kind of like Hunt for the Wilder People, that was very critically acclaimed, and it's an A24 movie. I actually forgot to mention that Iron Claw is an A24 movie as well, but this is an A24 movie, and I'll just tell you right there, great company. And another good movie by A24, along with Iron Claw as well. That is my number 4, The Florida Project. Now, I remember, I want to say it was my review of one of the Wes Anderson movies I did. I could be wrong, or it might have been Perks of Being a Wallflower, maybe. I don't know, one of those, though. So anyways, one of those videos, one of my subscribers actually recommended this movie to me, and at that time I never even heard of it, and I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. Took a long time, but I finally got to watch The Florida Project, and yeah, great movie. I haven't seen that subscriber in a long time, so I don't even know if they are subscribed to me anymore. But if you still are and you're watching this, thank you very much for recommending me this movie. It's very good. It's not quite up there in my favorites, but maybe on rewatch it could be. I almost want to call this a coming-of-age movie, but I don't know if that's correct, just because the main girl, she's 6 years old, so I don't know if that is coming of age, because when I think of coming of age, I think of teenagers, so I don't know. I don't know, but if it is a coming of age movie, it's a very good coming of age movie. It's also pretty sad because it's about this little girl who has an unfit mother living in this apartment complex, and there is a story there, but it's kind of almost unrecognizable just because there's like other, it's a lot of scenes, a lot of like random scenes and stuff, but I like movies like that. Like Richard Linklater is a big example on that kind of style of movies. Jim Jarmusch as well, or Jarmusch. I think it's Jarmusch. I heard Winona Ryder call him Jarmusch, but Jim Jarmusch as well. Two directors I love, and I could definitely see some influences from both of them into this movie. And yeah, the cinematography is beautiful. This was directed very well by Sean Baker, who is a director I'm not too familiar with, but I have heard of. And I actually, right after watching this movie, I read on his Wikipedia page that he is actually, a lot of his movies, if not all of them, focuses on like prostitutes and like people who have sex addictions. And while this movie doesn't like focus on it completely, there is a little bit of that because her mom is kind of a sex addict or something like that. Maybe, I think she actually goes to prostitution, if I remember correctly. But and also I want to give a shout out to that actress who played the mother. What's her name? Hopefully I'll say it right, but Bria Venetia. I don't know, but this was her very first acting job, and she is phenomenal. Phenomenal, without a doubt, in this film. The little girl is really good too, Brooklyn Prince. She is great, and of course I can't talk about this movie without a certain, like, the only famous actor in this movie, one of my all-time favorite actors, Mr. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe was, of course, great, and he was definitely the big reason why I wanted to watch this movie. Didn't disappoint like he never does. His character, Bobby, I really liked his character a lot. He was actually a legit good person. And yeah, he even tried to take care of both the main character, Mooney, that's her name, the little girl, Mooney, and her mom, Haley. Like, he even tried to, somewhat at least look after them. Didn't have the best relationship with, well, really either one of them, but he still somewhat tried to look after them. And yeah, he was definitely the best part of this movie. Great character and great performance. And yeah, just a really good movie. I will say, though, however, the ending kind of caught me off guard. And I'm kind of mixed on the ending. A part of me really likes it, but also a part of me not hate it, and not even necessarily dislike it. I just think it's a weird choice that Sean Baker chose to end the movie like that. If you've seen it, you should know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a very interesting ending, but I kind of like it, actually. So yeah, like, honestly, before that ending even happened, I'm talking about the final, the very last thing in the movie. When I say the ending, I'm talking about the very last thing. Before that even happened, I was about to cry because it was getting really sad and really emotional, and I almost cried. But then the ending happened, and my tears stopped, and I'm like, wait, what? And it was just, yeah, it was very strange, but I liked it, though. It was pretty cool. So yeah, The Florida Project, very good movie. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's definitely one of A24's best. And yeah, I might like it again, even more on rewatch. So So yeah, very good movie. The Florida Project is my number 4. Okay, coming at number 3. Now this one I'm not going to talk too much about. I'll just give some brief thoughts, but because I did, however, post a review on this movie. I want to get to the next movie too. I really want to talk about this next movie after this, but so that's why I'll just keep it brief. But if you want to hear my overall thoughts, check out my review for it. But my number 3 is Beetlejuice, the sequel, and I gotta say, a surprisingly good sequel. If you want to hear me talk about more, check it out. Also, another movie with Willem Dafoe, oddly enough. But yeah, I really liked Beetlejuice, and check out my review for it. All right, so that was my number 3 is Beetlejuice. My number 2. Okay, I didn't even show the poster for Beetlejuice. Sorry, but I just want to talk about this movie now. Okay, so my number 2 is a movie that came out last year, and oh boy, did this movie surprise the hell out of me. I had an idea of what this movie was going to be, and it was kind of that, but it mostly wasn't. And I'm so excited to talk about this movie. My number 2 is Bottoms. Okay, so yeah, I heard that this was basically a female Fight Club, and I was for that. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. Okay, but then I remembered at the last minute, the last female movie that was inspired by a male movie that I watched was Booksmart, from pretty much a ripoff of Superbad. And that's one of my least favorite movies ever. I hate that fucking movie. But, well, anyways, so because of that, I was kind of nervous going into this movie. And I gotta say, the beginning almost felt a little Booksmartish. A little bit. It didn't piss me off, but it was a little bit. And, but then I started to seeing something different about this movie. I was like, this is a weird movie. This is a really weird movie. Like, I thought it had a really weird sense of humor, and like, I couldn't figure it out at first. Like, what is up with this? Like, why is this so weird? And then I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, this kind of seems like a live action version of a adult cartoon. And yeah, that's pretty much it, at least of what I kind of saw. So I'm like, so once I realized that, I was vibing with this movie. I was like, okay, this movie's, I actually really like it. And it was pretty ridiculous. It had some ridiculous stuff. But, however, I almost want to say what happens, but I don't want to spoil. But what I will say is the ending caught me off guard. The ending made me say, what the fuck? If you've seen it, you should know what I'm talking about. I want to do a Your Cousins Are Critics episode on this so me and Kate could get more into depth and so I could actually talk about the ending. Because there was something that happened in the ending that really caught me off guard. I paused the movie with my mouth wide open, not even saying anything. I rewind it to watch it again, this certain moment. I don't want to say what it is. And then I paused it again. I stood there in silence for about a good minute or two. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to keep watching. And then by the end of it, I was just like, I couldn't believe what I just watched. So it was at that moment, right after it ended, I was like, I was like, okay, I fucking love this movie, because that was the moment when I finally figured out what this movie was. It's a self-aware comedy, which I'm so happy that it is, because we live in an age where comedy, a lot of people can get easily offended by just comedy, by certain jokes and whatnot, and people are afraid to get controversial with comedy. Like, that's how I see it. Like, movies like Blazing Saddles and, stuff like that are very self-aware and dumb, but very self-aware. Like, that movie, a lot of people don't like nowadays. They will even say it's a racist movie, when in reality it really isn't. It's making fun of racism. But some people just don't see it that way for some reason. I don't know. However, this movie could be very offensive to some people. There are, some very, sexist jokes and whatnot. And I am so happy that the director... let me see who the director is real quick. Emma Seligman? I don't know, but... And she is actually pretty young, too. She's actually only, 3 years older than me. But shout out to her. I gotta watch... She did another movie called Shiva Baby. And after watching this, it even has the actress Rachel Sennott. Shout out to her, and Ayo. I don't know, but the two lead actresses were phenomenal in this movie. I just want to say that right now. Everybody was great in this movie. But yeah, a big shout out to the director for making this movie. She didn't give a fuck. She wanted to make something offensive. At least this is how I see it. She wanted to make something offensive, but also didn't want to hold, still wanted to make it self-aware and like Blazing Saddles, because like I said, this movie is outrageous. It is so dumb, ridiculous. There's a lot of stupid characters in this movie. The two male jocks in the movie, I was like, what the fuck? Why are they acting like that? But then I figured out that it's making fun of the jocks. So yeah, I loved those two. They were really funny. And yeah, bravo. I'm so happy that in this decade we got this movie, because yeah, this was like a female Mel Brooks movie, just about. A little bit of a female Fight Club, because it does have, teenage girls, though, in a quote-unquote fight club, a self-defense club, and they're fighting each other. And that premise alone, that's pretty cool. Like, it doesn't have to be, maybe a little comedy, but, it doesn't have to be what it was. But I'm so happy it was that, because this was, man, I almost want to put this in my top 100 favorite movies. Maybe one of these days, maybe by next year, it might. It won't be on the updated top 100 movies list, but it might next year when I rewatch it, because it was great. It's an 8 out of 10. Excuse me, it's an 8 out of 10 right now, just because it's a first watch. I only watched it once, but I loved it. It was, thinking back on it, the more I think about it, the more I love this movie. Bottoms is amazing, and if you love great comedy, if you love self-aware comedy like Mel Brooks, watch this movie. It is phenomenal, and and it also proves that there is still hope for comedy in this day of age. So, bravo. This is a great movie. My number 2 favorite, because I did like my number 1 just slightly better, and it's also a very strange movie, but in a different way. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it would have been my number 1 if it wasn't for that, but still an amazing movie. I loved Bottoms, and that is my number 2. Great film. However, my number 1 favorite movie that I watched in whatever month this was, September of 2024. That is, of course, David Cronenberg's Crash. Yeah, not to be confused with the Best Picture winner from 2005. Not that one. This is the David Cronenberg 1996 movie, Crash. And I gotta say, before going into this movie, I wasn't a big David Cronenberg fan. Now, however, I only watched 2 before this. I watched Videodrome, which I was not a fan of, and the other one was Naked Lunch, which I still wasn't a fan, but I liked that a little bit better than Videodrome, but I still didn't love that movie either. However, Crash, that is definitely, as of right now, my favorite David Cronenberg movie. I loved Crash. Now, yes, this is a very strange movie too, because it's about people who get turned on by car crashes. Very weird premise for a movie. But David Cronenberg made it great. And it's a little David Lynch, actually. There's a little bit of David Lynch vibes to this one. But, there's a character in this movie who is the best character in the movie, Vaughn. He was very much a David Lynch character, but he was... And shout out to the actor who played him. He was phenomenal. Ellis Quiotas, maybe. But he was great. And I loved the character. The other characters were good, too. The cast was phenomenal. James Spader, Holly Hunter, that Ellis guy I just mentioned. Deborah Kara Unger. Rosanna Arquette again. Which she was barely in the movie. I think she had more screen time in this than she did in Search and Destroy, but still. Yeah, it's a really good movie, and I gotta be honest, it was a little bit sexy. I wasn't turned on by the car crashes, but the sex scenes themselves weren't bad. That's all I'm gonna say. I am kind of a quote-unquote pervert. I don't really consider myself as a pervert because that's a different definition. But, I can easily get turned on by, women, but yeah. And, I mean, Rosanna Arquette's great looking, and so is Holly Hunter, and that Deborah chick, too. And so, the sex scenes were pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's just a little strange just because of why they're having sex. Which, that was the reason why I was turned on. It's just because there's great looking women having sex scenes in this movie. So, that's why. I just want to get that out there. But it's a very weird movie, but it's very entertaining, kind of funny at times, and Vaughn was the best character in the movie, and the ending was pretty crazy, and yeah, it's a great movie. This almost made it on my top 100, Actually, now that I think about it, it could make it on there. I don't have it on there right now. Was on there at one point. I might put it back on there. We'll see, but I did give this a 9 out of 10, and it was on my top 100 for a little bit, and it might still. We'll see whenever I post the updated top 100. But great movie. I loved Crash. I loved Bottoms, but that's not quite a favorite for me. This one is, though, and I could definitely see myself rewatching this. Maybe quite often. We'll see. I am a big David Lynch fan, and it did remind me of David Lynch. So, there we go. I kind of struggle with some weird movies sometimes, but David Lynch weird I love. So, and this was almost David Lynch weird. So yeah, Crash, great movie. Finally, I love a Cronenberg movie that isn't Infinity Pool, which was directed by his son, which I didn't exactly love it, but I did like it a lot. This one's even better. So, yeah, Crash, that's my number one favorite movie that I watched in September 2024. All right, there we go. There is my ranking for the movies I watched for the first time of September 2024. Put down in the comments what were, some of your favorites that I mentioned in this, and also what were some of your favorite first watches that you watched in September of 2024. Put that down in the comments, and please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the bell. And as for the next video, that should be my updated Tim Burton ranking. And then after that, for the next 10 videos, I think 10 videos, yes, that will be the separate parts of my updated top 100 favorite movies list. So look out for those. So yeah, all right. See you guys later. All right. Peace.